and welcome to Building Our Village with Tender Care PPEC. Today we are with Glenisha from Family Network on Disabilities, also known as FND. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. So glad to be here with you all. How are y'all doing today?
Doing good. We're doing good. Happy to have you on as a
Yeah,
guest.
Yeah, thank you
yep,
for inviting me.
of course. So the first question, we're just going to dive right into it. What does FND do?
So, Family Network on Disabilities, we go by FND, but it does stand for Family Network on Disabilities. We are a
Mhm.
grassroots program. We were founded in 1985 by a group of families who had children living with disabilities, and they came together to share resources and support for one another. And from that small little family group, it grew into a huge nonprofit where we are now supporting families across the state of Florida.
That's impressive, and I love to see that, go from something small to, something the size that can serve the whole state of Florida. What is your title with the organization, and what is your role?
So I am a parent training specialist. All of us who work with F&D are parent training specialists who are into the community and working in the community. And then we have our managers who are also parent training specialists, but they're working managers. And then we have our CEO and we have those who deal with the finances. We have our secretary who works in the main office. And then we have our social media worker and our IT workers. So my specific job, though, is a parent training specialist where I am in the field
Mhm.
and I'm working with those families who have children living with disabilities. We do weekly Facebook videos, and we also do weekly Instagram videos. And like for example, this weekend I have an event coming up where I'm going to share my resources. I do individualized assistance where I'm actually on the phone with parents, or I'll meet in person with parents and talk to them about their
Okay.
situation and help them get the resources that they need.
What do you find the biggest thing that parents need help with, or that you're using your knowledge to help them with?
The knowledge of just the information in general. There are so many parents who get a diagnosis of some type of disability that their child is dealing with, and they just don't know what to do. I have spoken to so many families, something as simple as getting online and researching the disability and the causes of the disability and how to live with it, but then also understanding their rights and their responsibilities. So FND focuses on the IDEA law, and that is Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. And so there are 13 disabilities that are under this act, in which if your child falls under that, they can get an IEP, an individualized education plan at school, or a
Mhm.
504 plan. But a lot of parents do not understand what this law is and what it entails. And then when they have conflict with the school, they don't know that they can go further than the school. We are always striving for collaboration, and we don't want them to have to go as far as due process with the state, but they don't know that that's an option. A lot of parents will call us and email us and say, well, my child is not getting what they need on the IEP, and the school's not doing anything about it, and I don't know what to do next. So, of course, we always try to get them to collaborate and try to solve their problem together before going any steps further. But that's what I've really realized. A lot of families don't know how to go further if they need to. And then also, not understanding how to get information just to help them for daily tasks or respite services. I recently pulled together a list for a mom who wanted to have respite services for her area. And so just little information like that. And so it's very nice to be able to say, okay, this is your situation. Allow me to take the time to pull together these resources for you, and then we'll get back together. And then I can share them in person, I can share them digitally, or we can get on a Zoom call. And so with technology, it makes things a lot easier. But that's the biggest thing. And it's a bit
Wow.
heartbreaking when I find that information out, because we have the computer, but not everybody is savvy on the computer. So it makes it a lot easier that I can do this as my job. My job is to find resources for you.
Mhm.
I
Wow.
love that.
Yeah.
Having the ability to help families, and they sometimes you're overwhelmed. There's so many different things, and you don't know where to start. So if they have someone like you that's had the ability to work through this before with other families and then help navigate them, that's a game changer for some families, especially at the beginning if they're just diagnosed and have nowhere to, or no idea where to start.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, for sure. Just last week, I got the chance to meet with a parent, and it was something as simple as logging on to renew her son's Medicaid, and she just kept getting to the same point. And we were talking about it over the phone, and I said, I think we just need to meet so I can see what you're trying to explain to me. And we got together for a short time, and it was just almost lethargic for her, because she had just lost her daughter about 5 years ago, and now she has taken over her care for her grandson, and he lives with cerebral palsy. And she was still broken from the loss of her daughter. And I was able to actually physically be there with her. And she was just really overwhelmed and stressed because she's like, I have to try to get ADP services for him. We have an IEP meeting coming up. And now they say we have to renew Medicaid by the end of September. And it's just a lot of information on top of her husband having a critical illness as well too. And so I was able to just physically be there and say, I'm going to do everything I can to help you and get you the information that you need.
It, to be able to do that, for especially someone that might not had to navigate that before, and then you're able to step in and show them you know the way to do it. IEP meetings, 504 meetings, those are just overwhelming for parents. And if you have someone like you, I mean, I can't even explain. I've ran into so many families that they have no idea where to begin with the IEP or
Mm-hmm.
getting these things in place. So great. I mean, I can't speak highly enough about, and probably be able to refer you to more families now that we're understanding what you do.
And
Yeah.
I it's we've been around since 1985, and I was a little bit heartbroken when I found out about FND because I am a former teacher in the public school system, and I did not know about FND until I started with FND. And also I have a family member who has mental health issues, and if we had known about FND when he was in school, it would have been so much more helpful. We could have got the correct diagnosis instead of having to deal with the issues that we're dealing with now. He's 43. And so it would have just been so much better. And so one of the things that I'm
Mm-hmm.
is just make sure people know who FND is and that we're out there. So, for example, if a school says to you, no, we don't think your child has this type of disability, we cannot afford them a IEP or a 504, but you still feel this way, if you have us, then we can show you the resources and the things that you need to do to take those steps to try to get your child evaluated for that disability. Now, again, we cannot make anybody do anything. If the school says no, all we can do is show you the steps on what to do, but at least you have the steps. If you don't have the steps and the tools, then you can't do anything. But with FND, we make sure that you know there are options out there. You don't have to feel like you're just completely by yourself and the school has said no, or you can't get this assistive technology that you feel like you need, or something of that nature. And so I've just really found, I've only been with the company since January, but I've just really found how much families are thankful for the services that we provide.
Yeah. And it sounds very individualized, like per person that you help, obviously. And so I think that's really nice that you take the time to meet with them, and then really hear out the problems that they're having, and then curate a list of resources for them. I think that's just so amazing and nice because I'm sure those families are very overwhelmed, with what they're going through. So I just love that you take the time to do that for them.
And I enjoy it.
How
I
did you
am,
get it?
oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You go first.
I love true crime. I'm an armchair detective. And so before this job, I would go and read about cases that were unsolved, and I would follow the cases in the news and go
Oh,
back and read all types of history about it, and I would go and form my own conclusion. And so I enjoy doing things like that. I enjoy research. I enjoy reading, like I said, about true crime. I enjoy reading biographies. I enjoy learning and figuring things out. So even through this job, I've learned myself.
yeah.
It, it's that old saying, knowledge is power. And,
It is.
if you're able to help bring the knowledge to families, it's, a game changer. What got you started with FND? And, obviously, you speak with passion. How do you bring so much passion to what you do?
Well, I have numerous careers. I've been very blessed to have numerous careers. So I am originally a professional singer. I have a degree in vocal performance, and I performed when I was
Ah,
in college and for a few years after. But I started noticing I was having
impressive.
health issues. Um, I was very, very tired, in chronic pain all the time. I would get off from teaching at
Wow.
about 30, and I would come home, I would have a snack, I would sleep till 8 o'clock in the evening, make my dinner, go back to sleep the whole evening, and then not want to get up in the morning. And my whole body was just hurting all the time. And so this was probably about my third or fourth year of teaching, and I was in my mid 20s at that time. And so I ended up leaving teaching because I said, something's wrong. I don't know what it is. And it took me about 10 years to find out that I have rheumatoid arthritis. And so now I'm living with that on a
Wow.
day-to-day basis. So that gives me the passion that I have to help other people. However, though, I am also a phlebotomist. And so I had been working at one of our local hospitals for about 2.5 years, but I noticed my RA was flared all the time. It was not going into remission, and it was not staying into remission. And so I was talking with my parents, and they're just like, you're going to have to do something else. Well, I was also teaching English online and working as a phlebotomist, but I knew teaching English online was not going to give me the income that I needed. And I said, well, mom and dad, I have to have enough income. So I went on Indeed. That's how I found my phlebotomy job. So I just started researching stay-at-home jobs so I could make, that income that I was making at the hospital, but be able to work at home. And I came across Parent Training Specialist and read about it. And I said, wow, this is really awesome. It's a nonprofit. I can work from home. They offer benefits and I get to help people. And so I set up the interview, and it went positively from there. And I've enjoyed working with them since then. But it's been able to allow me to leave having to work on my feet every single day at the hospital and work at home. And so I'm about 90% at home with this job. I do have to go do resource fairs. And for example, next week, me and my coworkers are traveling to Jacksonville. We have an event to do. But for the most part, I get to work from home, and it's been really nice.
That's fantastic. And, bringing your experience from teaching and bringing your experience from the hospital, you kind of mix both things to go along with what you're doing now with disabilities, education, and everything. Kind of like the perfect storm.
Yeah, that's what I think about when I think about all of my different careers, and things did not turn out in my life the way that I wanted them to turn out, because I wanted to be a professional singer, and I wanted to be what you call a recitalist. So a recitalist
Hmm.
basically performs classical music at dinners or galas or events like that. I didn't really want to do operas and the opera scene on the stage. I really like doing recitals and being able to communicate with the people who I'm singing in front of. It's more intimate, and that didn't turn out the way I wanted to. I still sing every Sunday in church, and I sing professionally when I have the
Oh,
opportunity to. But being able to do so many other different things, I think has given me the compassion. And also having to live with rheumatoid arthritis also has given me the compassion. One thing I tell my parents all the time is you have to keep advocating. I went to numerous doctors when I was in my 20s, and they
wow.
looked at my scans and they're like, well, you don't have any arthritis in your joints. Everything looks good. All my blood work was normal. And I kept telling them, I said, I know something is wrong. And so I had actually given up it was probably about 2016 or 17, and I was living here in Panama City. I had been living in Pensacola, but I moved back here, and I just said, well, I guess I'm just going to be in pain my whole life. And so I really just given up and was like, well, I guess I'm not gonna be able to wash my truck anymore. I don't know if I'll ever be able to have children. And I guess I just felt God telling me, you need to try one more doctor. And so I tried one more doctor, and he's my doctor today. And finally, I had enough
Wow.
antibodies show up in my blood work. And so he was telling me the other doctors weren't wrong. You just didn't have enough antibodies show up in your blood work, and it showed up now. So at that time, I was getting ready to turn 40, excuse me, getting ready to turn 30. I'm turning 40 this month. But I was like, wow, it took me almost 10 years to find out. So I think about my parents whose child is showing some signs of some type of disability. Maybe, for example, they're not looking them in the eye, or maybe they're nonverbal. And the doctors are saying, well, they're a little young right now, let's wait. But as a parent, you know your child. And if you know in your heart something is not right with my child, I tell them you have to keep advocating, because no one is going to advocate for your child like you will.
That's so true. And I tell that to our parents as well, that we work with, I totally get it. Your child doesn't have a voice and you're going to be their advocate. And, whether it's with us or for the school system, whoever, but you have to be your child's biggest advocate.
You have to. You have to. And it's, with the school districts, it's very hard. They have thousands of kids that they are trying to give assistance to. And a lot of times the schools just don't have enough hands. They just honestly don't have enough hands. And for example, when I was the music teacher at the school I was teaching at in Pensacola, I was having to help other children with tasks that were not under my music criteria, which it was fine because I loved it, but I was tasked to teach music. But when you don't have enough hands, then you have to do more than what your criteria of your job is requiring you to do. And so it's really unfortunate that a lot of kids get missed. Um, and it's just very heartbreaking for a lot of these parents. And I try to let them know, it's not that the school district just doesn't care. A lot of times they just don't have the hands. And we are seeing that in several different areas. We're seeing that in the medical field. We're seeing that in the military. They're trying to get people to join the military and give you this, bonus intern to go in, and the same thing for the medical field. They'll give you a bonus to come in. And it's just unfortunate that when these areas that are really, really important, like the medical field and education, we just don't have enough hands. And so that's one of the things that F&D can help with. We cannot make anybody do anything, but if we can supply you with the information, then you can go to the school and say, hey, this information I found and resources I found, can we try this way instead of this way? If that makes sense.
Makes total sense. And, as far as not having enough hands, in the staffing shortage in the medical field, we've experienced that firsthand. It's getting harder and harder for us to hire staff and nurses, um, because one, the hospitals pay a lot more than we can. We're Medicaid funded, and then, two, the shortage. So they're all going to hospitals where they can make more money, and then it leaves us, looking to try to find quality staff. So I
Mhm.
totally understand that. Um, you spoke something about Jacksonville. Are you going to the Connecting the Dots conference?
Yes, we are. Myself and my coworker Sassafras and Miss Josefina and Miss Kathy, we are going. So Sassafras and Josefina, they live in Ocala in Tallahassee, and they cover their counties around that area. And then Miss Kathy lives in Jacksonville. She's our working manager. And so we'll be at the the dots. And so we're super excited about that. I'm very excited because this is my first time going to this Connecting the Dots. We went to one earlier this year as well too, but I was just like, "Woo, we're gonna get so many more resources to be able to share with people." So I think it's gonna be a fun day. It's gonna be a long day for me because eight o'clock to 3:30, I think the time is, and it's time for me to take my
Yes.
nap at that time. But I have to get in my head, okay, you're not getting a nap today. So
we'll be there with Tender Care as well, and I'm speaking along with one of our nurses in one of the breakout sessions. I look forward to meeting you there, and meeting your team as well. It's going to be a great day. I'm really looking forward to the event. I think it's going to be a great event. We attended last year, and I couldn't believe how many resources and people were actually in attendance. It was a great day.
Yes, it's going to be a huge, huge, huge event. I think it's going to be really good. And plus, Jacksonville is my favorite city, other than San Antonio. My mom's from
Uh,
San Antonio, but I just fell in love with Jacksonville. I've been going there my entire life from about my teenage years because my aunt and my uncle moved there from New York. And I didn't really pay attention to the city when I was younger, but when I started going there when I was older, I just kind of fell in love. And I was like, wow, it's just so much to do. And music and markets and museums, and I just absolutely love going there. So every time there's an opportunity to go, I definitely go, and so I'm looking forward to going there next week.
yeah, we're looking forward to it as well. And um, I mean, this is a little down the road, but if you're a fan of St. Augustine, we're having a resource fair in St. Augustine in April. So we'd love if you guys can make it and be part of our event. It's a Special Needs Resource Expo. This will be our third year hosting it in St. Augustine, and last year we had just about 50 different resources for families, and I think our attendance was just about 200. Was it 200 or so? Aurora?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I would definitely love to do that. So St. Augustine, that county is covered by Miss Kathy, but of course she loves for us to be able to do resource fairs, and so I will definitely pass it along for her, and that might be something our whole team can come and do. Again, just getting the information out there, getting our name out there, and you'll find when I share my card with people, they'll say F&D. I've not heard of F&D. And like when I said when I was a teacher, I had not heard of F&D, and I'm a teacher in the public school system, and I had not heard of F&D. So that'd be definitely something to look forward to, and I can already put it on my calendar because April's so far away.
Yeah.
Yeah, that resource fair is something we started. We started in the parking lot of our center in St. Augustine, and it was hot, not a lot of shade. We did it in April, thinking it's still kind of coolish weather, not too hot, but it was a lot. We wanted to make it comfortable for the families and for everybody involved. So then we found a mall that it's not your typical mall. It's more of a like a uh, it's local stores, local businesses, and it's ran by the church. And it's a beautiful space. And last year, it was a wonderful place for us to have it because the open space and it was air conditioned and it was inviting for everybody. They had different stores people could also look at while they were there. So it turned out to be a great event.
Oh, wow. I'm excited about it already then. I definitely want to get more information to be able to come and be a part of that. Resource fairs are great. Like, we're sharing resources for special education, but you can have all types of resource fairs. But like you had mentioned, the knowledge is power. Just people getting knowledge. Things are changing so rapidly in our world, and you really have to take the time to learn new information because things are moving so fast. But then when you think of a child who has a disability and the family who's trying to help them, it's like, wow, there's this thing, and I didn't know this, and I should have known this before this time because the deadline ended, and it's just very overwhelming. And so it's nice to be able to help those families.
it, what is the ideal referral for you, or what do you like? What is the best way that we could help you get the word out, or um, let families know about your services?
So we have an office in Clearwater. We just moved to the new space. We've been in Clearwater, but we have a office in Clearwater that we're getting ready to have a dedication and opening up in December. We're super excited about that. But we have a 1-800 number that you can call. And for example, let's say you are in Calhoun County, which is one of my counties. So if you call that number, they would get you in contact with me. I would reach out to you and I would have a conversation with you and find out what your needs are so you could contact us that way, or you could contact me directly. I have a direct phone number that you can get in touch with me. And then also when we do our weekly Facebook posts and weekly Facebook videos, we have a QR code that pops up in the video that you can scan as well too. We're on social media. All of our different programs are on social media, very active on Instagram. But if a parent doesn't know where to start, all they really have to do is just search Family Network on Disabilities in Florida, and that'll give you the phone number, and then you'll get somebody at the home office, and they will connect you with a parent training specialist for your area. And like I said, we cover the entire state of Florida, which is a great blessing. We are not in a situation where the parent trainers are stretched and we can't reach a certain area, so it's a really good situation where if you are down south, we have our program down south, northwest where we are, we can get you that individualized assistance.
I did want to ask, just to clarify, is it what's the age range for the person who is disabled? Is it just any age that you can help, or do you mainly focus with kids?
So we work from ages 0 to 26 because with special education,
Okay.
children
Wow.
are in school a little bit longer. A lot of them are in school till about age 22. It just kind of depends on their disability and what school they're at. But yes, we offer services from age 0 to 26. If we find that there is
Okay.
an adult that needs services, we can try to get them the information for services for older than that age, but we do focus on that cutoff of age 26. But like I said, we're not just going to turn a 27-year-old away. We're going to do what we can
Mhm.
to help in that situation. So yes, 0 to 26. We really use the law of IDEA to help us in the services that we provide, because the law makes it very clear for parents to understand and for parent trainers to understand. And so if we follow that information, it helps us do our job a little bit better. We are what we call parent training centers, and there's actually a parent training center in every state in the United States. And we, Family Network on Disabilities, is Florida's. And so a couple of
Mhm.
weeks I had a post and a family was asking me about getting parent training in New Jersey. And so I was able to go and research and give her the link to find the parent training center in New Jersey. So something as small as that.
Okay, I understand. So it sounds like you're a professional, Googler too, because you probably have to Google a lot of that stuff as well.
Oh yes, a lot of Googling, a lot of calling and asking questions because my
Yeah.
coworkers, they've been with the company, many more years than I have, and they have been very helpful in the different information. And the majority of us who are working, if not actually all of us, either we have a disability ourselves or we have a family member who has a disability. So we've had to go
Mhm.
through steps with our own family members. So, for example, Miss Kathy, she has two sons who have disabilities, and so she's had to go through the process for many different things concerning IEPs, concerning APD services. And so she's actually walked through it. And so that's also great to be able to share with families that, hey, we know exactly what you're going through.
Mhm.
Waiver as well. That's something that a lot of families have to deal with. My coworker Sassafras has gone through
Yes.
that with her daughter. And so it makes families a lot more comfortable when I'm coming to you saying, hey, I've gone through a situation like this, or I can say, I haven't gone through this particular situation, but I have a coworker who can give me some resources and information as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Having firsthand experience at something and being able to learn through your experience to help others is so beneficial. And then you speak with the weight of authority from doing it, or if you have that knowledge from someone going through it firsthand as well, it gives you that authority and the ability to be a trusted source for them.
Yes, and a lot of families, they're looking for those trusted resources. It's unfortunate, that people who are living with disabilities, families who have children with disabilities or adults with disabilities, they can be a target, for scamming and being taken advantage of. And it's just a very, very
Mhm.
situation for someone to do that. But that is also very important that we share. Our resources are vetted. We receive a grant from the U.S. Department of Education and a grant from the U.S. Department of Health for our Family Star side. And so we can give them confidence. You can go on our website and see our social media post and know that we are a real agency. And also, our agency is free. I didn't mention that when we first started talking, but we provide free
Mm-hmm.
individualized because of the grants that we receive. And when you have a child or family member with a disability, money is the top concern, because healthcare is so important and getting specialized education is so important. And so if we can tell you we can give you free individualized assistance, then that can take a load off your back as well too. And so I always like to tell families, yeah, this is a free service. I'm not going to charge you for doing all of this researching for you. And so that's really nice as well too.
That's incredible because most of the time, you tell someone you can do something and they're like, well, what's the cost?
Mm-hmm.
What is this going to cost me? And then if you're able to tell them it's free, I mean, that you can't beat that, and to be able to make a difference for families like that.
Yeah, but how many times do you think of, let's say, health insurance and something, something's wrong, but you're like, oh gosh, I have to pay that copay or I have to meet that co-insurance, it's like, I know something's wrong, but I'm gonna have to pay this huge amount, or I need surgery, but I know I'm gonna have to pay this huge amount, certain situations like that. Well, if we can do some research for you and try to help you find, different places that might give money to you and help you get some type of grant or something like that, that's very helpful as well because you'll find a lot of people just won't do things because they don't have the money for it. And when it comes to your health, when it comes to your knowledge and education, you don't want to just say, well, I'm not going to do it because I can't afford it. And so that's something that we are really, really thankful that we can provide that those resources to help you be able to figure out how you can get this need met. And Family Star actually is our healthcare side of F&D. And so they can, across the state of Florida, but they help on the more medical side of situations. Like if you need to get more knowledge about Medicare or Medicaid or the Med waiver, if you need more information about hospitals and agencies, so that is our medical side and they work very, very hard. They have a lot of people that they help, which is great though, because you also can understand too if your child has severe learning disabilities on top of medical issues, that is a double whammy that you're trying to deal with. So for
Mhm.
F&D and our parent trainers, we can help you on the educational side and the special education. And then our Family Star can also help you with the medical side and getting that information as well, because there's rights and responsibilities that you have on that side that families don't know about also. So we try to load you with information. So all you have to do is call the phone numbers or send the emails.
That's incredible. We've recently found, the access to care for families is becoming harder. There was all the Medicaid cuts, and a lot of families lost their Medicaid, and then they're scrambling to figure out what to do. And I mean, to navigate that system is honestly nearly impossible. You got so many families that were turned away, and now they have no care for their kids. So I'd love to learn more about the STAR program that you guys offer as well, and that could be beneficial for some families that we've tried to help or are unable to help because we don't have the knowledge of the insurance and the medical aspect of that.
Oh, yes. And there's so many good resources that we have. On our website at fndusa.org, we have these great one pagers, and it's just one page of information. And let's just say one page of information focused on assistive technology. And that one pager gives you different types of assistive technology that you can talk to the school about and request. And so when people go to our website, they have all of these resources that they can email to themselves or they can print out and have. And the one pagers are good because they're bright in color, but they're not overloaded with information. If you go to read about the IDEA law, it can be very, very overwhelming because it's got a lot of law words and all
I'm
of that.
sure.
Well, we have one pagers and
Mm-hmm.
other websites that we partner with that you can learn about the law, and it's in more layman's terms. Because, the average person, we haven't gone to law school. And so if you can understand the
Right?
law a lot better, you can navigate it better. And the same thing with the medical issues. We have one pagers that will explain to you the different types of disability causes and symptoms and how to cope and live with those. When we do our weekly videos, we explain the topic
Mhm.
that we're doing, and that gives you the information about it as well. And you can just pop the video on while you're doing something at home and listen to it. For example, I did a positive behavior video several months ago. I did a whole series on IDEA. I did a series on assistive technology, early childhood development, and if you feel like your child is, age 0 to 4 and they may have some type of disability, we give you the steps in that video on how to move forward. So families have said they really enjoy our videos, and so that's really awesome as well too, because not everybody enjoys reading. And so if we can, get a video for them, they can watch as well too, and they can watch it over and over as well also. So that's something that we do as well too. And I don't think I mentioned that. So F&D is across the state of Florida, but we are broken up into regions. So I work for F&D Poppin, which is Parents Offering Parents Information and Networking, and we're in Northwest Florida. And then we have PEN, Parent Education Network, and then PSN, Parent Support Network. And so that covers the rest of Florida on the east side and the west side, and we're all broken up, and we get the chance to cover all of the counties. And then Family Star is not broken up; it is
Wow.
across the state of Florida, and so we can get you serviced. And so that's one of the great things. I love how the structure of the nonprofit is we're broken up into those areas, and you need to live in one of the counties that you're serving. So I live in Bay County, and I serve all the way to Pensacola,
Mhm.
to the Mariana area, and then my coworker Sassafras lives in Tallahassee, and so
Wow.
she covers Leon County all the way up to where Miss Josefina is in Ocala, and then down where Miss Kathy is in Jacksonville and covering, and then you just move on down the line. And so, like I said, when you call our main office, they'll ask you, well, what city are you in? You might say, oh, well, I'm in Miami, and then they'll connect you with the parent training specialist in that area.
Wow.
Awesome.
So you touched a little bit, and sorry, we're probably going to go a little long now because I keep having questions. The technology and stuff like that, the assistance. Uh, would you be able to help a child that needs to get a communication device or something like that through the school system? Are you able to do that?
So we don't have the authority, like I said, to make anybody do things, but what we can do is we
You
can
could give them the information.
yeah, we can get the information, help you understand the law and what your rights are and responsibilities and what the school's rights and responsibilities are. And they can get that information and present that to the IEP team or to the school. But one thing that we often notice is parents don't even understand that they can request that. They have a need, but they don't know, oh, I can
Right.
request it. And schools are supposed to accommodate that. You have accommodations and then you have modifications. Families don't even understand the difference between accommodation and modification. And so, yes, for example, if there's a situation where a child needs some type of assistive technology to help them in their schooling, there is a process in which we can give you that information, and we can do your best to try to get the school to move forward with that. We always try to encourage collaboration, but there are situations where the school will not move and they will not help you in the way that you want to be helped, and then you have to go on and move to your to conflict resolution. And so we want to use conflict resolution in a positive way, because everybody has to work together. When you work as a team, you get a lot more done. And as a parent, you're your child's biggest advocate, and you're ready to fight for them if you have to. So a lot of parents, we have to say, okay, let's just take a breather. We're not going to the school fighting. Let's talk about our options, and this is the reason for this information. And I mean, I've had conversations with parents on the phone, and they're ready to go into school and just turn it up, but I have to say, think about this. The child is the number one. The school wants to help the child, you want to help the
Mhm.
child. So the child, keep the child in the middle, and remember that we are trying to come together and solve whatever problem that we have. And again, it is unfortunate. Sometimes you have to move up the ladders, with trying to get that conflict resolution. But for the most part, a lot of times with our help, parents can stay at that lower level tier of conflict resolution.
Well, it helps if you give them the information they need to
Mhm.
provide to the school, and they're armed with those facts and the their rights. So that is a giant help.
Yes, 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 very much so. And I'm sure, with your program as well too, do you have like when you do an intake, you go over things with the families to help them understand about on the medical side?
Oh yeah, yeah. So we our intake involves all their medical history and all that stuff. But then for school age children, then we work with them to get hospital homebound services at our centers, and then our team works with the school district and to make sure that we're accommodating that child as best as possible. And the teachers come out to our facilities and work with the kids, and then you know each county is a little different that we work with, but then um, some of the aspects are the same, and typically it's well received between us and the school system, and we're able to have a great working relationship.
Oh, yeah, that's great. What I have been learning though is that with these smaller rural counties, it's a lot harder to get those services, especially when you talk about homebound care and children who are severely disabled. When there are these smaller rural counties, families may not even have internet, may not have a computer. And so I think a lot of times those of
Right.
us we take for granted the fact that everybody has a phone and we have a TV in every room and we have two or three computers, but not everybody has that. So when we're working with families, there's certain times where they're like, oh, I don't have a computer to be able to look up the desktop view. I have to look at it on my phone on the mobile view. And so that can be a challenge as well too. I haven't run into any specific challenges with the smaller counties myself yet, but I do know my coworkers have, and that takes a little bit harder searching. When I was searching for respite services, for families in our area, that was quite difficult because when you have smaller counties, you don't have all of those great services like you might would find in Jacksonville or Miami, or Orlando. And so Bay County, Panama City is growing, but we still don't have all of those different services that you might need for respite care or homebound care. We have two hospitals, so it's not like, you have a bigger city when they have four or five hospitals, so the bigger the city, the more resources you have. And so we have to get creative.
Yeah, we have ran into some issues with the smaller counties, where um, getting them to understand what we do and recognize the services we provide, and how when working together it's the best option for the child.
Yeah.
Um, but in those counties, they don't have the staff, like you said, that the bigger counties have. So it is harder for them to facilitate and to make everything work.
Yes, very, very true. And with F&D, we always say, we're not lawyers, we're not doctors, we're not mental health specialists. I can't make anybody do anything. However, though, I can provide you the support and the resources. If you just have the resources, that is so much, knowledge and power that you have because you can
Mhm.
go to the school
Right.
and say, I know what should be happening. And so that gives you the power when you go to the school and say, this information that I've learned and I've gotten support from a nonprofit. And so I know what should be happening and we need to move forward and do these steps or whatever the situation may be. And like I said, we've talked about throughout this conversation, it's just so many people just don't know. One of the reasons I love Google and other search engines is because you can just search stuff and you can learn about a condition or learn about an agency or learn about your rights and responsibilities concerning a certain law or something like that. And so that's one of the great things, back in the day, you had an encyclopedia, and I still have a big encyclopedia set I love, but encyclopedia was outdated, because it's got so much new information. And and also so you had
Right.
newspaper, you had to get the newspaper every day and you would have to go to the library and read and research books to get information, but now we have all that at our fingertips. I was talking with my
Mhm.
our manager, Miss Kathy. I said, Miss Kathy, what did you all do back in the day before social media when you had to report all of your information, to the government? She's like, well, we do newsletters and we take pictures and we'd send them, to the state and show them that we are fulfilling the parts of the grant. And I was like, wow, that probably took a lot of time and postage. And now, for example, when we go to our connecting the dots, we're gonna get on Facebook and be on Facebook Live, and all the government has to do is look and see, oh, they're fulfilling their grant. And so I just think like, wow, times have really changed.
It's really incredible. Everything's at your fingertips now, and I say it all the time that you're able to now. Like, you don't know the answer for something, all you got to do is Google it from your phone. You don't even have to go to a computer anymore. I mean, it's available at your fingertips at almost any moment. You know.
Yes, and I just think the biggest thing is learning how to research. As a teacher, I shared with you I'm a phlebotomist, but I'm also a phlebotomy instructor. And so I have been teaching my students how to take a multiple choice test. And so they didn't realize there is a strategy behind taking a multiple choice test. So I don't know if your parents told you this growing up, but they said if you don't know the answer, choose C. And so there's actually a strategy on how to answer each multiple choice question on the test. So there's strategies. And so a lot of times people have the information, but they don't know how to manage it or how to research it or how to put it into action. And so again, with F&D, that is what we do. We help you understand it.
That's great.
Mhm. Yeah, that's awesome. Can you just repeat where you're at on social media so people can find you?
Okay, so we have several different social media pages for Family Network on Disabilities because we're broken up. So
Oh,
if you are
mhm.
in West Florida area, all you have to do is search FND Poppin. And then if you're in the eastern part or the western part, you have PSN. So we're FND Poppin, and then we're FND PSN, FND PEN, and then FND Family Star. But like I said, you can just go on Google or Yahoo, whatever search engine, and you can put in Family Network on Disabilities Florida, and that will take you to our website, which will then link you to all of our different Facebook pages. But each week we have new information that we're putting up. We always share our conferences we're going to. We always share our videos. That's how I think we all got to know each other, because I shared a video with you all. And so that's the social media.
Yes.
Instagram as well too. We're very, very active. On Instagram also, we're using a lot of assistive technology with our Instagram page to get little snippets of information out there. I can be reached through email as well too, and so you
Okay.
can get to us any way you need us. We're out there to help you. Like I said, telephone, email, through our website, so we can get
Mhm.
information.
Okay. So it sounds like the first step is just to go to the website and then figure it out from there where you want to follow
Yes,
because it
yeah.
it
I
matters where you're located. So.
Yes, I would tell people, because when you go to the website, the first pop-up
Mhm.
it's like a little square, and it just says connect with us, and then it says, do you want to call or do you want to do email? And then you can do a message that way. And that's the first pop-up that you see when you go to the website, and then that'll direct you to where you want to go. But like I said, if you know you're in a certain county, and for example, pop in,
Mhm.
let's Escambia County watching this, well, Escambia County is going to be Poppin, which is going to be my area. Then you can go to our Facebook page and put in FND Poppin and reach out to us that way as well too. But I would always say the easiest way is fndusa.org, and that'll get you on the path to which area that you need help in. Well, not, I'm sorry, not area that you need help in, but which county area that you need to get the parent trainer to help you with in that area as well too.
Awesome. Is there anything that you wanted to mention that we haven't spoken on?
No, we've had a really great conversation. I'm just very
Yeah,
thankful for all the
I
questions that you
agree.
asked. So because I want people to know about Family Network on Disabilities. Like I said, I didn't know about it. And if I had known about it, then I could have shared it with my families. If I had known about it earlier, then we could have helped my loved one as well too. And so being able to discuss this, and then you all will share it and get it out with to your families that you help, I think will be a very, very
Mhm.
positive thing, and we in turn can help one another, because like we've been talking about, knowledge is power. Just getting that information out there. I think we started in 1985, and now it's
Wow.
2024. and I'm just
Wow.
hearing about
Yeah.
it. So, and F&D is not the only agency that, provides resources and things of that nature. There's so many others. So, for example, like having the resource fair that you guys are going to be having, and the one that we're going to be going to is going to be very helpful. But yes, just getting our information out there and letting people know we're here to help you. There are people who are going to be there here to support you and advocate for you and help you understand the long path that you have, dealing with disability. You can reach out, like for example, if you're a single person with living with disability, you can reach out as well too. If you are of age of majority, you don't necessarily have to have a parent reach out. Also, if you are just a concerned citizen, or if you are a teacher and you want to get information, you can reach out and we can get you one pagers to share. For example, Anchorage Children's Home here in Panama City, they came to our table when I was at our Kid Fest event, and she got all of these different materials that we have, and she's like, I just want to share it, with our families and our children at the Anchorage Children's Home. So we're definitely out there to get information in everybody's hands.
That's great, and that goes along with what we're doing with this podcast. We titled it "Building Our Village," and it takes more than one person. It takes more than the family, and that's our goal with this podcast. Building a village of resources and people that are there to help the child, because it goes beyond the parents. It goes beyond what we do. It goes beyond what you do. It's everybody working together, and that village coming together for that child.
Yes, and I think that's great because unfortunately, now we're living in a day and age where it's kind of like my four and no more. I've got to worry about me and my situation, and people don't want to ask for help because it's just like you're a bother to me if you ask for help. And so when you say, no, this is my job to help you, then they're almost taken aback. Like, oh, you're going to help me
Right,
and I have to pay you to help
right.
me, And so if we can get back to that, saying, yeah, I actually care about you as well. It's not just my four. I care about you and your situation as well too. And that's one of the
Right.
things that, working with this company, it's nice that everybody has a family member, has disability, or you have disability yourself, because that gives you that empathy and compassion. If you've not ever gone to the situation or dealt with it, it's going to be hard to have that empathy and compassion. So that is actually something that I'm very thankful, that even though I have to live with having rheumatoid arthritis, it gives me the compassion to help that family member who is dealing with their situation, because I know what I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. So yeah.
That's great. And, thank you for being a guest. And I'm
Yeah.
so excited for our listeners and, viewers to see this and find out about what you guys are doing at FND. And hopefully someone will listen to this and it's the help they need.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I hope so. I think it'll be a great thing for both of us. And then we get the chance to meet each other next week. I'm looking forward to it because I went to see your
Yes.
site and saw the work that you do, and you do great Facebook posts as well too. And so I was like, wow, this is definitely be where I could reach out and share this information with my families that they have the medical side.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And, we take a lot of pride in what we're doing as far as getting the word out, and not just for us, but for everybody,
Mhm.
And that's what it's about. It's about making a difference.
Making a difference. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for letting me be on the podcast. It was exciting. This is my first podcast that I've done. We actually are
Oh,
planning to do a podcast with F&D and our different programs. And so my boss, Miss Kathy, was saying, well, this will be good practice. So we're definitely looking forward to starting our own podcast in the future. But so thank you for giving me a stepping
That's
stone.
fantastic.
Yeah.
No, you were
you're awesome.
you were a great guest and wouldn't have known it was your first podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. I tell people it's all the years of the music performance training. I mean, years and years. I actually stayed an extra semester at university because my teacher said, I want you to do a little bit more training with your voice, and I was mad. I said, no, I have a timeline. I'm supposed to graduate. He said, just stay an extra semester. But it actually has helped me in my professional world and working, and so thank you so much.
Yeah. Right. Well, thank you, Glenisha, and thank you for tuning in. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.